How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Manatee Gaming. I got a pretty exciting video today. Had a lot of requests for some new money making guides, which makes sense because Manatee's back. Manatee's back. That's right. We're making more videos. So once again on my laptop, so the quality may not be 100% of what it's usually at, but we'll just deal with it. In today's money making guide, I'm going to show you guys how we're going to be able to make over 100 million gold per hour. It is pretty nuts. There are a few steps for this money making method, so it's really going to depend on how you go about doing this method and if you need the prep time, but it is pretty insane. I'm going to go over everything in this guide though. So in this video, we're going to be doing Abyssal lurkers. So making Abyssal lurkers. They are not something that people usually make, and a lot of people probably don't even know what they are, but I'm going to explain it in this guide what they are and how to make them and how you can make a crazy amount of profit by doing this. So as you can see right here, this is the price of the Abyssal lurker pouch. It is going for well above the GE mid, but even if they were going for the GE mid, then you'd still be making a lot of money. So regardless of whether or not they're as high as I'm showing now, or they have dropped back down, you will still make a lot of money. And then this right here is the Abyssal lurker scroll. So as you can see, they are a crazy high number right now. And once again, even if they did go down, you're still going to make a crazy amount of money making these. It doesn't really matter if they do slide down a bit because the video came out, they will still make an incredible amount of money. But going by the cost to make them and the current price that I have found right here that I just showed you, it's about 135 million gold per hour if these prices were just to remain stable. So that way you can imagine, even if they did go down a bit, you're still going to be making a crazy amount of money. It doesn't really matter if they do slide down. So let's go ahead and go along with the setup. So a lot of people have probably already done the Abyss, which is where you get the Abyssal charms, like you see right here in my inventory. And so if you already have a ton of Abyssal charms, then you won't even have to worry about going and gathering them. I'm sure that there's quite a few people who watch this video that already have like a ton of charms saved up because the Abyss is a very popular method of training your combat skills. But if you do not have the Abyssal charms, that's also okay because gathering them is extremely fast. I'm going to show you how to do it. So we're going to go ahead and teleport over to the Grand Exchange. I'm actually just going to literally show you the walkthrough of how to set this up. That way it's very clear, and just in case there's any newer players, they can see how to set this up 100% without me just kind of like skipping through some things and kind of cutting through. But what we're going to do is we're going to walk over to the GE because this right here is a lot of stuff to have in my inventory. This is roughly the kind of amount of things you're going to want in your inventory. We are going to get rid of a couple things here, like we are going to get rid of our Attuned Crystal Teleport Seed because we're not going to need that. But everything else in here we are going to need. What I highly recommend doing is kind of like running away from the bank here for a second and then going over to your pets and then go to your Legendary Familiar and then just find a Legendary Familiar that you want to summon. I'm going to go ahead and summon this Adult Drake here. And now I've got my Adult Drake, and it looks like the other pet though, because I'm overriding it. The Adult Drake is ridiculously huge and really annoying to be around. So I would probably recommend overriding it in some way. But once you have that out, you just need to make sure you have the Beast of Burden passive ability selected on your Legendary Familiar. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and click on your Pack Yag pouch. You can use a Pack Yag pouch, and then you can click on another Pack Yag pouch, and that will just renew it again. So that way the timer is up to 2 hours, because that way you don't have to worry about doing a whole lot of banking or whatever. You can stay where we're going to be going for quite a long time. Now, I definitely recommend taking all of your charming potions, and then we're going to put them into our inventory here. You don't have to use charming potions, but I would highly recommend using charming potions because charming potions will make this a lot faster. So put your extras in here. You can use charming potions, you can use charming potion flasks, whatever you want to do. Sometimes it can take a while to buy these charming potions, so I would recommend just to be a little bit patient on buying them. You don't need that many for a run anyway. They are 6 minutes per dose. You can also use some incense, I believe, to increase that to 8 minutes. I'm pretty sure it works on those. But then that way, you will not have to worry about banking hardly ever, because if you've got 4 doses in one slot, that is 24 minutes, be like roughly 32 minutes if you're able to extend it with the incense. So only 2 of them in an hour if you're using incense. So you don't need to have that many really, so don't worry about the cost too much. What these are going to do is they're going to make it so that you're able to get double the amount of charm drops. And since we do need the green charms, that's right guys, green charms. That's not something that you hear too often, is green charms. Most of the time it's, you know, it's like the crimson or the blues and people just kind of get rid of their greens and golds. But I think that's part of the reason why this method is so good though, is because when you're using things that people usually throw away, then no one is making them. Then the next thing we're going to want to do is just kind of like have your charms organized in some way, shape, or form. I'm going to go ahead and move these things around here. You are going to want to bring some prayer potions. If you were going to plan to sit there for quite a while, then I would recommend using more prayer potions than what I've currently brought. I've just brought this amount just to kind of show you the video. And then you're going to want some kind of AoE combat setup. It doesn't really matter which gear you use. They are very, very easy to kill. I would just recommend using the highest DPS armor, the highest DPS gear that you can bring. That way you can kill them faster. Using my Havoc and Scythe is quite fast, so and then I also use a Scripture of when you activate that, because that big AoE hit, so it's pretty awesome. And then the rest of your gear, it really doesn't matter about the rest of your gear. You just need something that's going to boost your stats. You don't have to use like Essence of Finality, the Glory, or something like that is going to be fine. You can also plan to use a Blood Fury, because Blood Fury will make it so you can just passively heal, which is really, really nice here. I'd probably recommend using that. Next, I'm going to move my Pure Essence up here to the top, and then and move some of these other things up the top. That way they're just out of the way. And then I've just got my prayer pot and my charming potion here. I got my Elven Ritual Shard to restore prayer, because we are mostly going to be sitting there and using Soul Split, because that will make it so we don't have to do any kind of healing. If you're using a different combat style, actually honestly no matter what combo style, the Soul Split's going to be your way to go. You could also use like a Scrimshaw if you want to heal with melee, but it's really not necessary. You're going to need magic note paper for sure, so you're going to want to stock up on some magic note paper. It's not very expensive. Our magic note paper is 547 coins each, so it's really not expensive right now, and you can buy a ton of it. And then the rest of your Beast of Burden inventory spots is really just going to be like extra potions or whatever, because if you're planning on sitting there for a lot longer than what I would be during this guide, then you're going to want to bring those. And then that's really all you need. So you don't have to use aggro potions. You can if you want to, but they're really not necessary. And I'm going to show you guys how to go over here and do this. I don't have my keybind set up anymore, so that way I have to manually click here, but because my mouse is, like I said, I'm sitting working on a laptop now, no longer on a PC until my PC gets back from being fixed. So I don't have my mouse keybind set up, so we're just going to have to click that like a noob. As far as your ability bar, you can just do something very similar to what I've got here, right here. If you're using melee, it's really just about using AoE. You can use pretty much any combat style you want to. It really doesn't matter too much, just something does AoE. When you get over here, you're going to click on teleport in the Mage's Zamorak. You don't have to worry about getting PK'd anymore, because you know the wildy is no longer the wildy, so this method has gotten significantly better due to the fact that we don't have to worry about that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to walk all the way over here, and there are a few different spots you can sit and kill these guys, but I'm going to recommend the spot that I typically use, especially for when I am doing melee, is going to be this spot over here, which is currently taken. So give me 1 second and we will go ahead and hop and find a world that is not taken. It turns out that world hopping the Abyss is actually extremely annoying. I had to go into the center and then basically just hop around until I found a clean world. It only took one hop, but then I had to walk all the way back here, so we'll keep that in mind. So what we're going to do is we're just going to sit right here in this spot. This is probably the best spot that I know of in the Abyss, honestly. And then we're going to pop an overload. We're going to turn on our overhead prayer. I'm going to move this up there simply. And then that way we've got our setup going. So once again, oh, it's because I don't have any prayer. Oh, let's get some prayer. All right, got some prayer. And then here we go. We're basically just going to sit right here and kill these guys. What you're going to want to do as you're killing them is pretty simple. You just click on the Abyssal Charm, click on your magic note paper. And then if you want to, if you get bored, which the charms come in extremely fast, especially if we've popped our charming potion here, they're going to come in extremely, extremely fast. You will get roughly 6,000 charms per hour. It's very, very fast. It does not take very long. And then as you can see, yeah, it fills up like instantly. We're going to go ahead and fill it up again. If you want to, though, if you really want the ashes for necromancy or something, you can also note these because they do cost $14.26 and our note paper is only about $5.50. So you can still make about 1,000 on each one of the ashes, but I'm not personally going to be doing that right now. But if you really wanted to, though, you easily could. The other thing I would recommend grabbing, though, and this is something else you want to do too, is hit your area loot button. That way you've got the area loot open here. I like to grab the noted pure essences, and I also like to grab the water talismans because those are equivalent to some decent money. I would definitely not note the other, pretty much anything else they drop, because it's really not worth the time. The water talisman, about the only other thing I would note, and that's mostly because I would use these during double XP or whatever for my summoning training. But while you're sitting here, and if you are noting the extra items, and that is not counting ashes, then you'll make roughly 500,000 gold an hour. It may be a little bit more. It really is dependent. All these numbers are really dependent on how fast you kill these guys. But given like pretty average speeds, then I would say that you're going to make about 500k an hour, which will pay for pretty much all of your resource that you use while you are here. So that is the important thing. But it's going to be not too long until you have quite a stack of the Abyssal Charms. So if you have never gathered these before and you have to go gather them, it's not that big of a deal. It's going to take you about 1 hour to get about 6,000 charms. So not bad at all. Also, your charming potion is going to be working on the green charms. So if you have gotten rid of all of your green charms, which would be a very sad day for you, then you can easily get a bunch of green charms back. And then these guys are going to be aggro on you for something right around 5-6 minutes. I don't remember the exact timer. But in order to get them re-aggro on you again is actually extremely easy, which is why I don't really recommend having to use aggro potions here, is just to run north. And then once you get to almost the north corner, they'll start smacking you again. You know you're good, and then just run back down here and reset. It is a very fast reset for the aggro on that. But this right here is how you get this. There are definitely some really good ways of killing things faster in the Abyss. This is not like a pure Abyss guide, so if you do have some faster methods, then you can use some faster methods. I'm pretty sure that killing them with Mage would be faster than Melee and so forth, but using just the Melee, for example, and using maxed out stats with the overloads and stuff, I do get around 6,000 of the charms per hour, but you can definitely achieve higher than that. Okay, so I have switched over to my summoning gear now, so you can skip straight to this part of the video if you already have the Abyssal Charms, but if you did not have the Abyssal Charms or the green charms, then you'd have to do that whole Abyssal grind. But the cool thing about the Abyssal grind, though, is that it does give you quite a bit of combat XP, so at least you're getting some fast combat XP while you're doing it, so it's not that big of a loss. And then also, too, I just want to note one really quick thing, too, about that. If you do not have a scythe and you want to do the melee method, then I would recommend using a Masuda's, because Masuda's spear will make it so that you will actually do more damage than a Dragon Rider Lance. I don't know if you guys have really looked into the stats of Dragon Rider Lance, but Masuda's spear is actually a better one if you have a 100% hit chance. The Dragon Rider Lance boasts a better accuracy, but it is not as strong for the hits. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Cool little tip for people who can't afford a scythe. Anyway, this is what you're going to want to have. You're going to have basically your summoning outfit. So I've got my summoning outfit on. I've also got my summoning master cape. That way I can save some of the charms, like extra charms. It'll work on your green charms here. And then we're going to want to have our swords and an Excalibur for the mobile perk. If you have something else for the Excalibur, that's also fine. But this also allows you to use Bladed Dive. I'm going to put in the link down in the description a video I've previously made that had a very, very nice in-depth version of how to do summoning at Amlod the fastest way possible. So feel free to use that as a guide for if you are not aware of how to do the fastest way, because in this guide I'm basically just going to show you the basics of what we're doing, but if you want to be able to speed it up quite a bit, then you can look at that guide down below. It also shows you another summoning method that was actually pretty good at the time and could be good now. So all we need is to have our Attuned Crystal Teleport Seed, which we can just go ahead and move over here to the bar. And then when we click on our that number, then it will allow us to use that, just like everything else on the ability bar. But one last quick thing too, if you look into my bank here, and I go to my presets, and then hit the little cog, and I open up my summoning, I want to make sure that I've got my Beast of Burden, which I have switched over to a pack mammoth, by the way. If you have access to a mammoth, I would highly recommend using that because it will give you a little bit more spaces, which means you'll make more money. So we want to be using a mammoth. Then I'm going to click on override, and then now I've got everything saved with my mammoth pouch, and my inventory and all that kind of stuff is right here in this right here. So whenever I go to the bank and I just hit the number 1, then now I will be able to easily access that. You can also set your Attuned Crystal Teleport Seed to the number 1 as well if you want to. And then The only other thing you need to have is just a way to teleport somewhere else. So you can put your max guild teleport down here on the bar as well, or whatever you want to use to be able to teleport quickly to a bank. The max guild is going to be the best way to do it, because it puts you right in front of the bank. But if you have something else, then just use something else. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and teleport to Amalod. So we click on our number 5, and then we're going to click on number 3, which you can just use your keypad to do that. Once you get over to Amalod, you can use the other video guide I kind of mentioned to see the fastest way through this, but there are essentially some spots where you will be bladed diving and surging to get over here quicker, but I'm just going to walk for now because you probably already know those methods. And then when you get over here, we're just going to simply click our infused pouch on Obelisk. And it's going to give an option of all the different things we can make with the Abyssal Charms, because that's what we have on us. We need to make sure that we have our pouches and our Spirit Shards, which you can just buy from this vendor right here. Or if you're planning on using in like a full hour or quite a bit of this, you might need to buy some of these pouches ahead of time, or also buy them in the Grand Exchange, but there are plenty of shards for you to buy here. So you'll be able to make you'll be able to do this conversion about roughly 9,000 pouches per hour. It's going to vary depending on like how fast you are, like greatly vary depending on how fast you are. And the reason why it's going to vary also too is because we're not just making the pouches. So we're going to select the lurker pouch, and then we're going to click on create. And it'll give us a pretty good drop of XP, which is pretty awesome. Once we have done that, we need to click the obelisk again. You can click it really quickly. You don't have to wait for the full animation. You can very quickly click it after you've clicked the first time. And then we're going to click on create of our pouches again here, which that doesn't make any sense. It must be doing that because we've got our Beast of Burden, which is unfortunate. Summoning scrolls, we're going to move down here and go to the Abyssal Lurker scroll, and then we're going to click on create again. That will turn all of our pouches into the Abyssal Lurker scroll here. And then we were going to do a take Beast of Burden, and then that will move all of our charms over here, and then we just repeat. Now you can also drag down this take Beast of Burden into your bar as well. That way you can set that up and make it go nice and quickly for you. But we're going to do the exact same thing where we make the pouches, click it again. As you can see, we can skip that whole animation and go over to the stealth scrolls, and then that is done. Click on the take again, and then we'll do it again. This time when we click the pouch, then we click back, it automatically goes right to the scroll because we don't have anything else. So if you don't have anything in your familiar or you're not using a familiar, just immediately go to the lurker scroll, which is much faster. And then boom, there we go. We now have made 570 of the Abyssal Lurker scroll. So one really quick note before we finish up here too, is that the Amalod hour, which is when we have our Voss that's going to be the voice of Saren that's going to be focusing on Amalod, that is really when you want to come and do this, because instead of getting 10 of these Abyssal Stealth scrolls per pouch, you're going to be getting 12. So what I would honestly really recommend doing is, if you want to do this as a money-making method, I would just come here when there is an Amalod Voss. That way you are able to get much better rates from this, because getting the 12 instead of 10 is going to increase your profits dramatically, because like I said, you can convert something right around 9,000. It really depends on how quickly you get through the menus and everything as well. But even if you're doing, like, let's say 8,000, because you're going a bit slower, then you're still going to be making a heck of a lot of money. But if you're doing absolutely optimal speed, you're using that guide that I already put in the description down below that will help you to know when to bladed dive, surge, all that stuff, and using Voss and everything else, and you're doing everything perfectly, you should be able to make about 135 million gold per hour from just the pouches itself going into the Abyssal Stealth. Now that does not include any time that you have to spend getting your charms in the first place, and does not include any of the resources you might use to get said charms. So if you are using a expensive training method, such as using your necromancy and like blowing up the putrid zombies or whatever they're called, and then spending a whole bunch of resources doing that, then that might cut into your profits a bit, and that is just something you have to kind of calculate. But at the very top end of it, you're looking at about 135 million per hour, which is insane. Even if the pouches went down by half, then you are still making a ridiculous amount of money per hour, which makes this an absolutely fantastic method to do. And I really hope this guide helps you guys to build up some wealth. That way you can come flip with us in our RuneScape Discord server. We have 13,000 people in there. Would love to have you in there, and you can come take some of your newfound riches that you're making doing methods like this, and you can flip it into even more money in our Discord community. Anyway, guys, be sure to hit that subscribe, turn on that bell for notifications, because we're gonna have more money making methods coming very, very soon. I've got another money making method is really, really good, and it's gonna be very similar to this one actually. And no more spoilers, but I'll explain to you when that video comes out. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.